Welcome to the full guide on Arctic Shores. So in this video, I'm going to be going through each of the games in the game-based assessment Arctic Shores used by companies such as PwC, KPMG and HSBC. So if you don't know what Arctic Shores is, I recommend you check out this video, which is an introduction to Arctic Shores. Now without further ado, let's get straight into this full guide. I'm going to be going through all the games that you're going to be doing in your online testing stage. Let's get into this. The first game you're going to encounter is the arrows game. And this is a test of, first of all, reactions, right? So you're basically going to be presented with a bunch of arrows on screen. There'll be loads of arrows on screen, and you have to focus on the central one. It's the central one that is key to this. And basically, these arrows are going to flash on screen, flash off, flash on screen, flash off, flash on screen, flash off. And that will basically last about 60, 80, 100 times. And the aim of the game here is to focus on the central arrow, and basically you have to move the arrow keys in the direction of the central arrow. So when they flash on screen, if the arrow is pointing to the left, you press the left arrow. If when they flash on screen the arrow is pointing to the right, you press the right arrow. And then also they introduce another case where if there's a cross in the middle, when everything flashes on screen, then you don't press anything, right? So that's what the game is, just focus on the central arrow and click whatever the central arrow says. Now, first of all, the strategy for this is you need to ignore all the other arrows, just focus dead on that central one. So I did things like moving my head close to the screen, so literally the only thing in my field of view was that central arrow, or like squinting on the central arrow just so you're focused on that. That's one thing you can do just to make sure that you don't get distracted by everything around it. You want to just focus on that central arrow. Now, another thing to bear in mind before you do this game is you cannot rely on conscious reactions. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is, okay, it flashes on screen, you see the arrows pointing left, so then you think, okay, arrows pointing left, let me click the left arrow. If you do that, you would have missed it because that takes too much time. All these arrows basically flash on, off, question 2, off, question 3, off, question 4, off. You see how fast it's going? So although you do this like 60, 80, 100 times, whatever the number is, it goes through in like 1 minute, 2 minutes. It's really quick. So if when it's flashing on like that quick, basically, if you actually consciously think, if you think, right, there's a right arrow, I need to do a right on the arrow key, let me press down on my fingers. If you go through that thought process in your mind, you will have missed it because it will have already flashed off screen. All this is unconscious reflexes, basically. You basically just have to have your fingers on the arrow keys, and when it comes on, your brain's just going to do it. That's the only way you can get it in time. So basically, that is another tip that I would take into this one is, bear in mind that it's not so, if you keep thinking about it consciously, you're going to take too long and you're going to get all the questions wrong. So you want to just do this unconsciously, just let it happen, just try not to think about it. Your unconscious brain will take over, it knows what's going on. Now, how do you score highly in this game? So I said this is a reactions game, first of all. And so first of all, just try and get good reactions, try and get as many of these correct as you can, try and get correct reactions and fast reactions, right? That's the first thing. However, that's what a lot of people sort of stop at. They're like, let's get good reactions and then that's that. There's actually a second part of this which is being assessed, and that is your ability to bounce back from mistakes. That's one of the criteria that Arctic Shores are looking for. So it basically means if you mess up one, so say one you just miss, you just don't get it in time, it's then assessing how do you react as a person to that. It means, do you miss it and then you miss the next one and then you're still thinking of it, you're getting all flustered, you miss it and then you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? You miss it, you've missed 5 in a row and then eventually you get back to it. Or is it you miss one, but then straight away you get back into it and get the next couple right? Okay, that is the important thing that it's assessing that you need to bear in mind. And obviously, it's better to bounce back quickly from your mistakes. So my advice here is, you're going to make a mistake, like it happens. For example, when the cross comes on, there's going to be a time where you see the cross and instinctively you just press an arrow, even though when there's a cross, you're supposed to not do anything. The advice is, when this happens, just forget about it. You have to instantly purge that memory from your mind. Don't be stuck up in your mind, like your unconscious mind saying, oh my God, I got that wrong, I'm going to fail, Arctic Shores, I've lost my job. To be honest, the reactions aren't that important. Because think about it, if you're an engineer or a DTS or investment banker or a marketing whatever, Do you really think it's that important for you to have 0.1 second reactions or 0.2 seconds reactions? No, what's more important is they want to know that if something challenging happens in the role or you make a mistake, you're ready to learn from it and bounce back, right? So that's the important thing. If you make a mistake, just forget about it and instantly just get back into a rhythm, all right? Don't get stuck up like, oh my God, I've lost my job, right? So here's the aim. Don't aim to get every single one right, because that's pointless. It's not going to happen, right? The aim is don't get 2 in a row wrong, okay? So that's the arrows game on Arctic Shores. Now the next game is called the tickets game, and it's actually quite a similar game to the arrows game. So basically it's called the tickets game because basically you have to like assign tickets to different sides or something. I don't know, just forget about tickets. There's nothing to do with tickets. There's 2 screens, a number and a shape. A number inside a shape is going to pop up in one of the 2 screens. It's going to alternate. So it's just like the arrows game. It's going to flash on, off, on, off. Question 3, off. Question 4, off. Question 5, all the way up to 80, 60, 100, whatever the actual number is. And it's fast, so it's going to be done in 1 or 2 minutes. And basically the aim of this one is there's 1 screen, and you have plenty of time to learn all this, by the way. With all these tasks, you can read the instructions as many times as you want, so don't worry about like memorizing exactly what it asks you because it tells you. But basically, in one of the screens, you basically have to differentiate between an odd and an even number. So if it's an odd number, you click 1 button, probably left arrow, and if it's even, you press the right arrow. And if it goes up in the other screen, it's irrelevant of the number, it's about the shape. So if it's a rounded shape, then you click 1 arrow. If it's a jagged shape, so with corners and everything, then you choose another one. So it's basically testing, can you differentiate between the different boxes? Because if you're only thinking about numbers, then you're going to get the one wrong where it's thinking about shape. You basically need to be able to, when you see it in that one, straight away be like, that one's about shape. When you see it in that one, be like, straight away, that one's about number, and basically differentiate between it. And it's very similar to the arrows game, really, because on the surface, it's testing your reactions. However, more than that, it's testing how well you bounce back from mistakes. So again, same as the arrows game, don't worry about getting everything right. Don't aim to get everything right. You want to aim to not get 2 in a row wrong. Okay, so if you make a mistake, just completely forget about it, just get back into it. Don't start worrying, because if in your mind's doing a whole commentary about how you've lost the job and you're an awful candidate, then you're not going to be focused on the task. This task needs extreme focus because of how quickly the numbers pop up. So basically, if you do one wrong, just forget about it, just get back into a rhythm and do the other ones, okay? So that is the tickets game. Now the next one's the memory game. 5 points if you can guess what it tests. It tests memory, right? And what it is you have a grid, I think it's 4x3, something like that. And basically lights are going to flash up in a sequence, and then you have to type back in the sequence. So it's one of those, you have to remember the sequence. It will start off with a low number, maybe about 4, and then it's going to increase. And all it is just testing memory. So you just need to come up with a system where you can remember the sequence and then type it back in, and once it gets up to 10, it actually can be quite challenging, but this is one where practicing the sequence is really useful. And then another thing they add halfway through is when they're increasing the sequence by 1, they also add basically sort of a cross, so they'll be doing this point, cross point, and then this point. And basically, if there's a cross over one of the points, you don't include that in the sequence. So if it was normal, normal, cross, normal, you just click in normal, normal, normal. So it's just a simple test of memory in a sequence, not too complicated. The next game is the emotions game, and this is a tester of emotional recognition. And this is one that I did absolutely shocking on. I'll explain it in a second. And so basically what the game is, you're going to be shown a bunch, probably 50 cartoon faces that all have different emotions. So it's the 7 universal emotions, and there's also a neutral one. So the emotions are anger, contempt, disgust, enjoyment, fear, a neutral face, sadness, and surprise. And basically, when these faces come up, you just have to click a label of which one it is. So if it's an angry face, click angry. If it's a sad face, click sad. Right? Seems pretty easy, right? But somehow I managed to completely mess this up, right? Because we'd just done the arrows and tickets game before this, I thought that this game was timed. Like, just like the other one, like the face would pop up for 0.1 second and come off like duh, 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 duh. That's what I thought was going on. So I rushed this entire thing. I basically saw a face, just click one, just click one, just click one. I was not really thinking about what the actual face was. I was just like, I need to click something, get in an answer. My score from this Arctic Shores report was the lowest possible emotional recognition. I got 1 out of 10 on emotional recognition. Surprisingly, I got rejected from this one. I did terribly in my first Arctic Shores, which is why I mentioned it in the introduction. You want to apply to multiple Arctic Shores companies, just a heads up there. Completely just 1 out of 10 failed emotional recognition. However, here's the trick. It was not timed. This section is not timed. It's not like the arrows or tickets game. It flashes on screen for 0.1 of a second and you just have to do it. It is not timed at all. You have unlimited time. Obviously, don't mess around taking 10 minutes because that's going to decrease your score somewhere. But basically, you can give yourself a good 3-4 seconds thinking about each. To be honest, 5 seconds. Like, you have plenty of time to just look at each one and be like, okay, contempt. All right. So the second time I did this, I took my time and I ended up scoring much higher. I actually scored 9 out of 10 on emotional recognition the second time I did this. That's the improvement. The only thing I changed was just not rushing, and I went from 1 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 on emotional recognition. So that's the emotions game. You just need to match the face to the emotions and just take your time with it. You've got loads of time. Now the next one is the sales game, and once again, this one I had an absolute shocker the first time I did it. So I'll just explain what the game is and then you'll be able to see how I completely fumbled on this one. So basically, you're given a scenario where you're a sales team for X company, whatever company it is, and there's also another sales team, and each week or whatever it is, month or cycle, you each choose a price, either a high price or a low price. So your team and then the team also in the company. And basically, I'll put the table on screen so you can see how it works. If you both do a high price, then that's the optimal solution where you're charging high price for your products, you both get 200, so it's 400 total for the company. If you both choose low price, then it's basically you're getting less profit because it's now a low price, so you both get 50 and it's 100 for the company, right? So basically that low price one is the one you don't want for the company because it's 50, it's only 100, whereas the both choose high price, that's the ideal situation because the company's getting loads of profit, right? But then there's the options if one of you choose high price and one of you choose low price. So if one team chooses low price, then obviously they're going to get all the profit, because if there's two products in a market, the same products, and one's high price and one's low price, everyone's just going to buy the low price one. No one's going to spend the extra money for the same thing. So the high price one will get no money because no one's going to buy their product, and the low price one will get 300. Now, I didn't really read the question. I thought the aim here was just to get as much money as possible, right? And when I saw this, I immediately thought of Golden Balls. So if you're from the UK, you might know what Golden Balls is. Shout out Dave, if any of you know that TV channel, absolutely amazing TV channel. Golden Balls is a game show that they play. There's a bunch of rounds they do. Those rounds are sort of irrelevant. It's basically the last round, that's the best round. If you don't know what it is, Google on Gogglebox. No, Gogglebox, what am I saying? Go on YouTube and search Golden Balls. I'll link a video down below because the final can be brutal. Let me explain what the final is. It's basically called split or steal. So they'll have gathered a jackpot throughout the whole game. Basically, and there'll be a jackpot sitting at the end and it'll be the two final contestants sitting next to each other. And they have a split or steal ball, basically Golden Ball. And they can choose to either split or steal this money. So if they both choose split, they both walk away with half of the jackpot each. Everyone's happy, right? However, if you choose to steal, then you have a possibility of taking the whole jackpot. So if you steal and the other person splits, you take all the money. However, if you both steal, no one gets the money. So you can see how that's relevant. I'll basically put these two tables side by side. You can see how stealing is basically the equivalent of setting a low price, and splitting is sort of the equivalent of setting a high price. And this final round is really interesting. I'd definitely recommend watching this on YouTube because everyone says, oh yeah, let's split the money, and then someone steals and then the other person starts crying and all that. It's good television. I don't know why they stopped it. But basically, I've really enjoyed this game show when I was younger. And the strategy mathematically is to steal every time. Like, I know it's a bit selfish or whatever. It's not very nice, but if we're doing this from the mathematical perspective, the best option is to steal. Because let's look at this. If you steal, you either get all the money or nothing. If you split, you either get half the money or nothing, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So with steal, because you're getting either everything or nothing, you're basically getting an average of half. You're basically, on average, going to get half of the money. Whereas if you split, you're going to either get half the money or nothing, so you're going to get an average of a quarter. So mathematically, it's like, would you rather average a half or average a quarter? You'd rather average a half. So the best one you could go is a steal, right? So I've always known that mathematically it's best to steal. Now I applied that to this game, and I basically thought, what is mathematically the best option where I'm going to be able to get the most money? Because that was my aim the first time I did this. And it basically was low price, because that's the steal option, effectively. It's the steal equivalent. So if I set the low price, I'm basically either going to get 300 or I'm going to get 50. Okay? If I set the high price, I'm either going to get 200 or I'm going to get 0. Okay? So if I set the low price, my average is 300 plus 50, half that, 175. I'm going to get an average of 175. Whereas if I set the high price, it's 0 plus 200, I'm going to get an average of 100. So basically the choice between high price and low price is, do you want an average of 100 or do you want an average of 175? And I was like, mathematically, I want the 175. So this whole game, it probably has about 20 cycles maybe. I went low price every single time, because mathematically it's the best option, and I absolutely crushed the other team. They barely got any money compared to me. I got loads more money, absolutely crushed them, because whatever happens, they couldn't beat that strategy, right? Because when I go low price every time, either they go low price as well and we're equal, or they go high price and I've just demolished them and got 300. And they can never catch up, because if I go low price, there's no option of them beating me. So I was just getting bigger and bigger gains, basically. So that's how I did it. Thought I'd done amazing, because I'm like, I make so much money for this in this game. I'm going to make so much money for the company. They're going to hire me. Guess what? I look at my report and this is one of the characteristic things. My focus on personal needs versus focus on needs of others was the worst it could possibly be. I got 1 out of 10. Mine was completely over to the side of focused on personal needs. Now think about the modern space of companies, and you can go on any company corporate website, look at their values or something. It's going to say collaboration, it's going to say teamwork, cooperation, unity, right? Do you think a company wants to employ someone who is purely focused on personal needs? I was all the way over to personal needs, not even close to being focused on other people or team, right? Guess what? I did not get that job, because they're not going to give it to someone. They want someone who's going to be working a team well, who's going to cooperate and collaborate and all that. And here's where I made the mistake, right? This is where this whole anecdote comes round to basically how you need to approach this, is make sure you read. This is a big lesson in reading the question properly. I didn't read the question properly. You are part of the same company, okay? I thought it was a different company and I just needed to crush them in business. So I did the best mathematical choice I could, and then I made loads of money and I thought I'd done it. No, you're part of the same company, right? So how does that change it? Surely you still want to make money. Yeah, you still want to make money, but you want the company to make money, all right? Which means you want to go for the option, you want to try and get the option of high price, 200, 200, because that option will get your company 400 each time, okay? So you now understand why I completely failed at that, because for this one, you want to try and go high price as much as possible. I did the complete opposite. I went low price every time. So basically, your strategy for going into this is you basically want to go high price as much as possible to give the other team the opportunity to go high price as well. So you both do 200, company does 400, you get loads of money. Now it's going to slightly sacrifice your money making, because when the other team go low price, you're going to end up getting nothing. So it's, again, you're now at an average of 100 rather than 175. However, it should be better for the company, and that means it'll show that you're not just motivated by personal needs, you care about the needs of others, and therefore you can teamwork, collaborate. It's what Arctic Shores is looking for, and then you'll be a better candidate. So the strategy is go high price as much as you can. However, if the other team keep going low price, you need to do a low price as well, because another thing is the other team learns from your choices. So if you go high price a few times, try and get them to do that, but they keep going low price, then whack in a low price, and they'll basically make you both suffer, because now you're only doing 50 and 50. And then hopefully they'll learn from that. They go high, you go back to high, and now both of you are doing high, and then you're getting 400 for the company, okay? So that is the strategy for this one. Do not try and entrepreneur, business, apprentice, just whack this out and try and get as much money as possible. Don't try and get as much money as possible for yourself. You want to optimize the team. So high price where you can, and then the occasional low price to try and push them back to the high. That is the sales game. Now the next game is the balloons game. And what this is, you're given about 50, 60 balloons that you need to inflate for a corporate party or something. That's what they call it. And basically you have to press the space bar to inflate it. And each press you inflate it, you get about 5 pennies. I was just thinking I was about to say cents. I was trying to work out what it was in pounds. You get 5 pennies from each pump. So if you pump it one time on the space bar, you're gonna get a smaller balloon basically. So therefore you're gonna get 5 pennies from it. If you pump it up 4 times, you're gonna get 20 pennies, and it'll be a bigger balloon. If you pump it up 8 times, you'll get 40 pennies from it, and the biggest balloon. So you basically want to try and get as much money as you can, but also at the same time you need to get balloons because you've got a corporate party to organise or hold or whatever. And now the thing is here, if you pump it up too much, then the balloon can pop, right? That's the key thing here. So yeah, sure, in an ideal world you'd spam it like 200 times, but it would pop, right? So you basically, when you jump into this, you want to go about it carefully and methodically. You don't want to just spam it randomly and just hope when it pops and be like, da, 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 I'll pop, oh, what a shame, right? You want to basically just go in it methodically. And basically you want to sort of analyze it and find a rhythm to it. And basically you'll find that you can probably, on average, press it about 5 or 6 times before it pops. And so you can start off slow, you bank a couple on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, then want to pop. And I recommend if one pops early, you then sort of do a couple of low ones, 1 or 2, just to bank it, because you don't want to get through the whole thing with 10 balloons. You want to make sure you still have a lot of balloons because they need balloons for this party. So basically just have an experiment with it in your first few turns, because you'll be able to get a feel for basically when it's usually going to pop. You'll basically get a feel that usually in the first 4 it's not really going to pop unless you're really unlucky. And then you can basically maybe get to the 5th or 6th. And then basically that's how I would do it. I'd basically find that number, maybe it was 5, maybe it was 6. Just click it 5 times every time, 5 times every time, 5 times, 5 times. Oh, it popped at 2 this time. Okay, I'm going to do a 1, I'm going to do a 2, just to bank it in and sort of make it up, because it shows that you're not just going to take risks no matter what. If something goes wrong, then you're going to sort of make a solution for it by just getting some small balloons just to make up for that balloon that just popped. And basically that's the strategy for it. Don't do it randomly, just try and get into a rhythm. Think methodically, think analytically about when does this balloon feel like it normally pops. Maybe you can get in 5 space taps each time. And that's the strategy for the balloons game. That one's quite easy. Now we're getting to the last 2 games. This is the penultimate game, and this is the power generators game. And again, you've probably seen a bit of a theme through this video. First time I did this, I had an absolute shocker, right? It was... yeah, I didn't get the job the first time I did this Arctic Shores. So let me just explain it first. So basically, you have a power grid that you need to generate power for. Yeah, if that makes sense. So you start off with like 2,000 watts, and you basically need to generate up to 6,000 watts. And you have 4 battery transformer things you can click and be like, we want power from this one. And these 4, they all do different things. So when you click them, this one will go up by 250, this one will go up by 1,000, this one will go up by 500, this one will go up by 100, whatever, right? So if you click them, they'll go up by that amount, and then eventually you should reach 6,000, everyone's happy, right? But the catch is, each of these batteries slash transformers slash plugs, I don't know what they are, each of them has a probability of decreasing, of just suddenly decreasing a big amount. So for example, you could press 251 4 times, and the 5th time it decreases 1,000. Or you could be clicking the 500 one 3 times, and then it decreases by 650. Or you're doing the 1,000 one 4 times, and then it decreases by 2,500, right? The first time I did this, I was like, what is going on here? Because I'll just be clicking it and then it would go down. And I'm like, what? And then I just start clicking it and it goes down. And I basically just got fed up with it. I was like, what is this? I'm just trying to do my power. Why does it keep going down? So I just basically started spamming random ones. I was like, oh my days. Try and get up to 6,000. I was spamming random ones. It kept going, like I'd go up a few and it'd go down like 2,000. And eventually you start at 2,000, you have to get to 6,000. By the end I was on 0 because I'd lost, like if there was negative, I would have been there because because I'd been spamming, I just lost, like I'd kept hitting them and like 2,000 would drop. And that is where I went wrong on this one, right? Because you don't want to just spam and just click random things. And it's sort of similar to the balloon game. So in the first few turns, you want to just get a feel for it, get a rhythm for it. So click through all the different batteries, click them a few times, see what's what, see, okay, this one goes by this much, this one goes by this much. And on top of that, get a feel for how often it comes down. So you'll get a feel for, oh, I clicked this one 3 times and twice it's gone down by 1,000. Or I've clicked this one 5 times and it hasn't gone down once. If you see what I'm saying, you'll sort of be able to spot a pattern and be like, okay, this one is more prone to suddenly going down. This one is less prone. This one only really goes down every so often, or this one, when it does go down, only does it a small amount. And that is how you succeed on this game, basically. You just have a bit of patience, a bit of spotting patterns, a bit of analytical skills, being methodical with it, and you'll be able to work out which one's probably the best one because it goes down the least, and you basically click that one, and it'll take you up to 6,000, right? And that's what I did the second time I did this. Rather than just spamming it, I did it methodically, worked out which one seemed the best, and actually improved my scores. And one of the criteria it looks for is how you deal with decisions that involve risk. And I got better at it the second time. There's basically 2 ends to it. There's trusting instincts and there's deliberating carefully. And from the first time where I'd spammed it and the second time to where I'm methodical, I basically improved my score more over to deliberating carefully, which is more important because the company wants you to like think about stuff properly rather than just trusting your instincts and doing some rash decision. And another criteria is about how you make decisions, and I improved mine from the end of just doing it on intuition, which again, it's not really what they want, just making a rash decision based on no evidence. And I moved it closer to based on rational thought processes because I was looking at it methodically. So that's basically how you want to approach this. It's just by methodically working out which one's which and just taking your time, being patient with it. And that will basically best show how you think carefully about things, you're methodical, and how you don't just use your intuition on decisions to do with risk. So the final challenge is the safe challenge, how to crack the safe. Now this is the most talked about Arctic Shores challenge. You can see it online, people saying I can't crack the safe, help me, all that sort of thing. What I'm going to do is I really want to help you with this properly in detail and in depth and just go into it more. So I'm going to be doing a whole nother separate episode just on this challenge. So that is going to be episode 2 of the Arctic Shores challenge. If you're interested in that, then wait for episode 2. Put a like down below just to show me that you're interested in this series and you want me to continue uploading videos like this. So if you're interested, stick around for episode 2 of the Arctic Shores series. Now that brings me to the end of the Arctic Shores full guide. I've gone through all of the challenges there. I've explained the skills that you can be tested on, the strategies you want to use, and also some anecdotes from my end, just so that you know what not to do, because somehow I managed to mess up almost every game on the first time. Now if you've got any value from this video to do with the Arctic Shores, feel free to subscribe, and then you're going to be notified when new videos come out. New videos about Arctic Shores and also other parts of the application process, such as the assessment centre and the interview. Hope this video has helped. Thanks very much.